If you guys have not heard yet, we have finally confirmation on how much it costs Ubisoft to make Assassin's Creed Shadows. And we have heard a lot of different numbers throughout the months leading up and after release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The number was well over $100 million. Some numbers were over to $300 million, especially considering what some of the previous Assassin's Creed games have cost, and also given the fact that Assassin's Creed Shadows has a credit reel of almost 3,000 developers or 3,000 people in general that had touched that game at some point in time and got credited on the actual credit roll. So you're thinking to yourself, well, how much could this game actually cost? Well, we now know the answer, and the answer is complete bullshit, just so you guys are aware. So Assassin's Creed Shadows production budget has been confirmed by Eve, the CEO, to exceed $116 million in the midst of a year that saw massive financial losses for the publisher Ubisoft. That announced figure is still less than the annual net losses reported by the company. And while the number may seem large, Assassin's Creed Shadows is likely to prove a financial boon for Ubisoft in the long run. Now, I want you to keep in mind, every single journalist outlet has been shilling for Shadows because they don't want to announce that this game was a failure. Not a single one of them want to announce this game was a failure. And all of their evidence to the contrary is literally zero. Their evidence means nothing. Their numbers mean nothing. You want to know why? Because they have no numbers. They literally have zero numbers available to them aside from players engaged. There is nothing else that we have seen that will tell you how many copies sold this game actually had, especially at the full price. Nobody would be able to tell you. Circana won't tell you. They'll tell you nothing. Ubisoft won't tell you. The journalists won't tell you, but the journalists will reference Circana, the same company that won't tell you, and they'll just be like, well, it's number 2 on the list of top seller in the United States. How? How is it beating out all these games that have millions of copies sold confirmed, and we don't know a single number that Shadows has, but Circana totally goes, trust me, bro, it's number 2 in the entire United States. But anyway, let's talk about it. So that $116 million comes from the 100 million euro or whatever it is that the number actually is. So they're just doing basically the conversion, the currency conversion for that number. The success of feudal Japanese chapter in the storied action adventure franchise has been well documented. Oh, gee, how well documented is the success of Assassin's Creed Shadows? Let's see what the hardcore evidence is from Game Rant. Let's see. So Assassin's Creed Shadows launch day sales announced by the company nearly 2 months after the game's March 20th release date. What sales? What was announced? What numbers were announced? You start off the sentence with launch day sales, and then you follow up the sentence with didn't give a specific number. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Like, this is the level of hardcore journalism. So you're saying that oh my God. Anyway, let's just move on. Didn't give a specific number. That is very important. But noted that it was the second biggest launch day ever in the franchise history, falling behind only 2020's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which, by the way, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been known to be a big seller, the biggest one in Assassin's Creed history. So now you mean to tell me that Assassin's Creed Shadows is number 2 for a long period of time, longer than Valhalla ever was on any list, and yet somehow it sold less than Valhalla, but then you want to convince people that it sold immensely? What the fuck are we doing? A separate third-party analysis, and here's what they always reference, right? Circana. Circana is a third-party retail tracking service, right? They don't tell you the numbers for Shadows. They tell you the numbers for everything else. They don't tell you the numbers for Shadows. Why don't they tell you the numbers for Shadows? Gee, I wonder why, right? Because Ubisoft doesn't even want to do that. Apparently, it's against their policy. It's against their policy to give an exact number on budget, and it's against their policy to talk about sales figures. So basically, it's against their policy to be transparent. They don't want to tell you that, but that's basically what it translates to. A separate third-party, Circana, found the game to be the second best-selling title in the first quarter of 2025, trailing only Monster Hunter Wilds. So this was apparently the number 2 best-selling game in the United States of America right behind Monster Hunter Wilds that sold millions of copies. Are you kidding me right now? So what happened to all the other games that sold millions of copies in a time frame? There was indie games that sold millions upon millions of copies in the time frame. What about Schedule 1? What about any of those games? Right? Well, they're going to say, oh, well, maybe it didn't, we're only counting AAA. We're only counting XYZ. We're only counting games that have physical retail copies. Whatever excuse they have to give you to ensure that Assassin's Creed is number 2 on some list, that's what they're going to do. But at a recent Ubisoft shareholder meeting concerning an Assassin's Creed Shadows, CEO Eve reportedly confirmed that the game costs, and here's the wording you need to pay attention to. Not only did they never announce sales, not only did they ever give you a number, not only did Circana ever give you a number, but they said that the game cost more than 100 million euro. You know what that means? That means it could be $1 over, or it could be hundreds of millions of dollars over 100 million. This is not a concrete number. This is not a definitive number. This could mean literally anything. And what they're doing is what the movie started doing, where they started reporting on the budget before any kind of reshoots, any kind of nonsense. And they're trying to say, oh, the number totally includes marketing. Guys, I need you to understand something. So if we were to take this number at face value, like the journalists are trying to do right now, that face value number of 100 million euro, okay? They spent 20 million euro in just a couple of months when it came to delaying the game and supposedly fixing it. They said it was going to cost them 20 million euro just for a few months. So how the fuck did it cost them only 80 million more euro in comparison for 5 years? How is that even possible? This game was in development since 2020. How is that possible? This is an absolute bullshit number. This more than 100 million is well over 100 million. But according to a report from Tweaktown, that number translates to roughly 116.25 million in US dollars, and it covers the cost of development, production, distribution, and supposedly marketing, which, by the way, total bullshit in my opinion. If the number is 160 million, it's not. But if it was, that is complete bullshit, because they marketed this game unbelievably hard. They were paying streamers up to $70,000 plus to play this game. They paid Hassan to play the game for one day, and he fucking dropped it. He dropped it right after that. So are we seriously believing that this number is 100 million? Absolutely not. This number is not 100 million. They are using political speak for a reason. They are speaking like this because they know that stupid people will believe them, and they know that the shills will promote the message, right? All of these gaming journalist websites, they want to make the number as small as possible for Assassin's Creed Shadows because, we can't be felting Yasuke out here. They make this number as small as possible for a reason. It makes them look good. It makes the game look good. It makes the chances of it being deemed as a success higher. It makes the mighty cucks out there in the world who are retarded go, ooh, and they clap like a fucking seal. And they're like, see, you own the chuds. Congratulations. And then when you talk to them, you're like, what proof do you have? Well, they said so. What proof do you have? What numbers do you have? Well, they said so. What numbers do you have? Well, they just said so. And that's all they keep saying. Literally it. So I don't believe it. I don't believe it factors marketing, not at this number. If the number was 200, 300 million, then maybe I would believe you. And keep in mind, by the way, these journalists, since they have to tell you the truth somewhat, or at least lie by omission in a way, right after they tell you how much the game supposedly costs, they flat out tell you it's also not an exact figure. It's also not an exact figure. As Eve noted that Ubisoft has a policy against publicly releasing final production costs, but he hinted that a large portion of the expenses went towards improvements to the game's engine. So you admit it. You admit that these numbers, none of them are real. You admit that they're all fake. Every single one of these numbers are fake. So why are we lying about this game? Think about it. That budget isn't insignificant and likely places it amongst the top 30 most expensive games ever produced. Listen, there's a lot more games out there at 100 million that it's way more than 30. Okay, this is why I truly believe that it's well above 100 million. But it's still dwarfed by some other industry giants, though figures may vary. MiHoYo's Genshin Impact may be the most expensive game ever made, with a budget adjusted for inflation hit 900 million in September of 2024, according to projections based on company financial figures. Other reports put Scopely's mobile game Monopoly Go on about an even playing field, with some reports estimating it as the first game budget to top $1 billion. Why the hell would you spend $1 billion developing Monopoly Go? I don't even know. While reports from Eve place Assassin's Creed Shadows far behind those figures, that big number could put some fear in fans of Ubisoft, given a recent negative budgetary outlook. Ubisoft financial report released in May showed losses totaling nearly 178 million for the 2024 and 2025 fiscal year, with much of the blame having been put on Star Wars Outlaws and the underwhelming performance of X-Defiant. So keep in mind, guys, they're trying to pretend as if Assassin's Creed Shadows was a success, but because of Star Wars Outlaws and X-Defiant, that is the reason why they lost almost $200 million in the fiscal year of 24 and 25. That is not true, bro. All of these games were flops, with the exception of Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six Siege does pretty well for itself. But aside from that, Shadows did not come anywhere close to making the money that it needed to. Star Wars Outlaws damn sure didn't make the money that it needed to. And X-Defiant, well, that got shut down. So, of course, that's going to take a big hit from there. So you guys can let me know. And again, we're not even talking about Skull and Bones. Did anybody even bring up Skull and Bones? What happened to that? Did we just pretend like it doesn't exist? You guys let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about this? Genuinely, do you believe Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed numbers? If you do, you can let me know. No problem. But if you don't believe, let me know as well in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.